We call that.
Welcome to this fabulous fall day, everybody. It's good to see you.
That's the end of us, Ken.
Colors in this room match the colors on the trees. I'm President Michael Brocta, and I just want to report to you that we have a sympathy card going around. Please sign it. It's for Barry Akers, who some of you may be aware lost his wife recently. There was a service this morning for her. So please make sure that card makes it around to every table. It turns out that not only were some of us enjoying the trees over the weekend, some of us were playing bocce. And yeah, I heard it went pretty well. In fact, it went so well, I've got a 3-page announcement to make a little bit later on that. So, Gary, you're going to come up here for the introspection. Pretty prompt. And then Joe, you're going to come up here as well.
I'll save you time. I've been up here before. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when at first we practice to deceive. It was written by Sir Walter Scott. So to illustrate, police officer pulls over a speeding car, clocks you doing 80 miles an hour. Driver says, "Gosh, officer, I had the cruise control on at 60. Maybe you need to recalibrate your radar gun." Not looking up from her knitting, his wife says, "Silly, dearie, our car doesn't have cruise control." As the officer writes the ticket, looks over at his wife. The man says to his wife, "Stupid woman, can't you keep your mouth shut?" The wife smiles demurely and says, "Well, you ought to be thankful that your radar detector went off when it did." So the officer makes out a second ticket. Trying to get my hot sunglasses on right back there. And so the man again glowers at his wife, says, "Dang it, woman, can't you keep your mouth shut?" So the officer frowns and says, "Notice you're not wearing your seatbelt, sir. That'll be an automatic $75 fine." The driver says, "Well, you see, officer, I had it on when I stopped, but I had to undo it to get my billfold out of my back pocket to give you my license." And his wife says, "Oh, dearie, you didn't have your seatbelt on. In fact, you never wear your seatbelt." So as the officer is writing out the third ticket, he turns to his wife and said, "You crazy woman, why can't you just keep your mouth shut?" And the officer looks over at the wife and says, "Man, does your husband always talk to you like that?" I love this. "Only when he's drinking."
I'll ask you all to join me in the pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Please be seated. So we're going to do the weekly president's message, and it's always a good day when Albert Einstein compares himself to Michael Brockley. So if you've been listening the past couple of weeks, and I'm sure one or two of you have been, the theme this year is all about outreach. All right. That's reasonable enough, I think. In fact, maybe more than reasonable. Maybe it's desirable. Or maybe it's even necessary. After all, membership growth is what will secure our club's future. So, I'm now going to talk about you, club members. Club members. It turns out you've got opportunities to reach out into our community and share our good news story. In fact, clearly you've been doing a good job of that already. We've sustained our membership numbers for the last decade. So whatever you've been doing has been working really well. In fact, it's been essential. Keep doing it. Personal invitations have been the way to go. And I see a bunch of guests in here today. We'll get to them later. I see a bunch of guests in here today. I'm sure here due to personal invitations. But you know, that only works up to a point. And let's talk about that. It's why our club has sustained its membership, but perhaps it's also why our club has not grown in 10 years. So let's talk about how we can do that growth thing. Let's talk about how outreach can be accomplished that will result in some growth. Einstein up here, he's got an expression I'm going to share with you. Many of you have probably heard it. I think it applies to this situation. Einstein said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So let's avoid insanity and do a few things differently. Let's look at how individual club members can put outreach into practice. Now, really, admittedly, I'm just standing up here in the microphone. The most thing I can do is encourage and support. The rest has got to be up to the individual members of the club. It's you. So what can you do? What can you do to help individually with this outreach thing? And presumably, if we do enough outreach, we'll start to grow our membership again. So here's a couple quick and easy takeaways. And these takeaways are not do once and done. These takeaways are sort of rinse and repeat. Let's do them on a weekly basis, if you will. So we have a club website, right? You could actually email that website link to somebody and say, hey, this is what's coming up. Why don't you take a look? Maybe when you invite them to lunch, you can do that. We do have LinkedIn and Facebook. Now, I know the demographic I'm staring out here at. I understand that not, but so many of you are active on social media. That's okay. You have children and grandchildren that are. So why don't you incorporate them into the outreach help that I'm asking for? And at the end of the day, I'd like us all to act on the theme, which is, thank you so much. Applause. Pegram, come on up here and talk to us about these guests that have showed up.
Well, I'm pleased to tell you that we have 3 guests with us this week. 2 of them are bankers right off the bat, and I'd like to ask all our guests when I call your name to please stand up along with your Kiwanis host. And the first guest we have is Chad Brown from Truist Bank, and his host with him is Keith Hartman. Our second banker guest is Lutheria Smith, who is right here with Lori Baker Lloyd. And our third non-banker guest is, it's right over here, is Steve Martin from Get Beyond, and Emily Bailey is his host. So thank you all for coming, and we hope you'll sign up and join.
My CIA background means I collected a little intelligence before standing up here. And I understand that Steve knows how to play bocce. Either that or he knows how to dress funny, because he won some kind of prize, I think. Good to have you here. So I'm going to do another permanent member badge. This is fun. I did a couple last week. Now we got another one earning the permanent member badge. So Greg Leinberg is going to come up here now and join me. And Don Witt's going to get the camera ready. And last week, Don admonished me for getting in the way of a perfectly good photograph. Come around this side. Okay. So Don, give me some more direction. I'll do the best I can. By the way, Don turned 80 years old over the weekend. So the way it works is if you join the club and get serious about being a club member, you become active, right? Become active. You guess, pay attention. This is an active club. And if you're active enough, then you join some committees and do some stuff. If you're really active, you get asked to join the board, which is just the case of what happened here. I'm going to give you a permanent member badge. You're going to put it on. You're going to get a photograph taken.
Trade you that one out, for sure. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. That's really pretty nice. Now remember, yeah, let's mention that. So there is some background there. Greg Lionberger is brother of Sam Lionberger, who's a member of the club and been active for a long time, including on the board, just like Greg. And they're both sons of Sam 3, Sam 2, who's been really active in the club for a really long time. So thank you for that tradition. We're benefiting from that. 1960 or so, his father was president. Yeah. So Bob Haberman's standing here. You come on up and do your thing. Grants.
And thank you, President Mike. This is our first grant presentation of the year, and we'll be doing grants every Wednesday that we meet between now and the 1st of March. And this year we are giving out a record of $65,000. And our first goes to an old friend at Adult Care Center. And Guy, would you come up, please? And Guy, would you tell us a little bit about the Adult Care Center, although most of us are very familiar with it, and give us an idea of what you expect to do with the check.
Thank you, Bob. You all saw me not too long ago, and so I'll try not to repeat myself. But I do want you to know that the Adult Care Center is very grateful for this ongoing support from the Kiwanis Club. It means a great deal to us. We use it. In the past, we've used it to help take care of a bus that was falling apart, and it finally did that. And we haven't got it replaced yet. So this will now be able to help us with our scholarship program, because the majority of the people who come to the Adult Care Center, they all still live at home and they cannot be left alone, but they also have some financial burdens. So we make it possible for as many people as possible to simply come to the Adult Care Center, and if they pay what they can, and we make up the difference with the scholarship. So this is how Kiwanis will be helping us this year. It's much appreciated. Also need to let you know that working with Don Chichester, we got things all worked out here on the day. So for the Thanksgiving event, and Kiwanis has been coming for a long time on the Friday before Thanksgiving to help us serve our meal. And we have all of our participants, and they can each bring one family member or one guest. So we have a lot of people. So when Kiwanis comes, it's a big help. And if you come and you don't see something that you need to be doing, you can always just sit down with any one of those folks and have a little one-on-one with them. So it's a big event. Everybody looks forward to it. Mike and Dan will be there as our entertainment. We're very grateful for that. They're just part of the whole occasion. So we appreciate it.
Anything about that, Sunshine?
That concludes my remarks.
I don't know, they haven't cut me off yet. Yeah, I'm still there.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, neat.
Well done. What a pleasure it is to continue to
Not
support
really.
your organization. Now we have an autobiography coming up. I'm thinking Thinking we're gonna learn some stuff, some of which will be true. Come on up here, Dave Barry.
Yes.
Well, I want to apologize in advance for this autobiography. First of all, good afternoon. My name is David Perry, and I'm a on again, off again writer. I've been a freelance writer before, and sometimes when you sit down at the computer, your muse works, and whatever comes out is what comes out, and you don't necessarily want to not use it because the muse might get angry and not come back anymore, and then you've got writer's block, and you don't want that. So I went with what came out, and I will throw in a quick brag, I guess. Part of my background that y'all probably know is that I'm a JMU Duke, and they're ranked number 25 in both football polls this week. So we're happy about that. And a lot of stuff y'all already know about me. I'm from Blacksburg. I work at the Blue Ridge Land Conservancy. So the baby boomers perfected rock and roll. They protested. They did a lot of drugs. They went to Woodstock, and then they became hopelessly greedy, uncool, and generally to blame for everything. I call this generation Mom and Dad. But I'm as Gen X as they come. Gen X is defined as being born between 1965 and 1980, and I'm right smack in the middle, having been born in 1972. My formative years were spent under the watchful eye of Ronald Reagan, and then a couple of years under his protege, George H.W. Bush. Jimmy Carter, Vietnam, Watergate, long gas lines, high inflation, those are distant and vague, but still present memories for me. I'd wake up most mornings, run to the TV, which was a piece of furniture with real wood paneling. And I'd turn on Captain Kangaroo. Sesame Street, The Electric Company, and Mr. Rogers were my afternoon companions. My mom drove a 1972 puke green Ford Gran Torino station wagon that was approximately the size of the Queen Mary. We didn't even consider seatbelts. Now, what defines Gen X? Well, we're the latchkey generation. Many a Gen Xer went to school every day on the bus or walked. We still walked in those days. Most people in the room probably did. That was really meant for the millennials, but I don't even know if there's a millennial in the room. And we'd be wearing a house key on a piece of string around our necks. And we'd arrive home after school to an empty house, let ourselves in with said house key, and then call mom at her work to tell her we were safe. Then we'd sit down in front of the TV with a snack for about 2 hours. Now, why did we call mom at work? Do I mean to say that contrary to what you might see on TV, that she didn't meet us at the door like Carol Brady, giving us a hug and asking us how our day was? That's exactly what I mean to say. The dog may have met us at the door, but mostly it was the sounds of silence. Mom was at work for one of two reasons. It was the 80s, and those greedy baby boomers realized that if both mom and dad worked, they could afford twice as much of everything. Or reason number two, mom and dad were divorced. Yes, those baby boomers stuck it to us again. The summer of love turned into the winter of mom and dad's discontent. So mom may not have been working to pay the bills, or because she and our new stepdad, who's not my dad and can't tell me what to do, really wanted 50% more stuff, like VCRs and 2 cars in the driveway. Or if you were really, really Gen X, you'd spend half your time at one parent's home and half your time at the other, which leads to exactly the kind of traumatic and unstable childhood you might imagine it with. Speaking of watching TV after school, we're the MTV generation. In the summers in the early 80s, my friends and I would spend hours in my grandparents' basement because my mom and dad were divorced and mom moved back in with her parents so she could make ends meet. Spent hours watching MTV, waiting for one video to come on in particular, Michael Jackson's Thriller. Once that came on, we knew it would be a long while before they showed it again. So we'd walk to the nearby strip mall to wander the aisles of Kmart or Eckerd's drugstore. Sometimes in the evenings, we'd play softball in the vacant lot across the street using pieces of firewood as bases. We rode bikes everywhere. I had a yellow Schwinn Stingray Jr. with a banana seat and coaster brakes. We saw a lot of change. When I was a senior in high school, the Berlin Wall came down. And when I was a sophomore in college, the Soviet Union collapsed, capping off the Reagan years with a bang, or lack thereof, thankfully. Computers arrived during our youths, cable TV, VCRs, video cassettes, and video rental stores. But you know, most of all, what I feel when I think about being Gen X is being left alone. It was easy to slip through the cracks. You learned to like being alone, and you grew to resent anyone who tried to tell you what to do and when to do it. We were happy being in the background, ignored on the one hand, but not hassled by anybody on the other. It's not a bad way to live. I do hold a lot of resentment towards my father to this day, and he and I are pretty much estranged. He's now on his third wife, and after a life of union work for the phone company and voting for Democrats, he retired, started watching Fox News, and now owns a lot of guns and voted for Trump. Dad was never around. When he and Mom divorced, Mom left with us kids and went back home to Southwest Virginia. Dad was 6 hours away in Tidewater, and I saw him a few times a year on the occasional weekend. I've always wondered how Dad could just let us kids go. I can't keep my kids close enough, and the fact that they're seniors in high school now is both a source of immense pride and a feeling of incredible loss, wondering where the time and my two little rugrats got away to. One afternoon years ago, I left work early to drive to one of the kids' events. I don't remember what it was exactly, a school music performance or a kindergarten graduation or something. And I was suddenly filled with an incredible rage towards my father. Here I was dashing across town to see my little guys, and he just let his little guys go. And I remember my eyes filling with tears as I was driving down Elm Avenue, as I beat on the steering wheel in anger and frustration. But you know, I'm okay. I'm here. I've been lucky. I've had a little help from my friends. I've had opportunities fall in my lap. And that's how I got to Roanoke. An opportunity came along when I needed it most. I have a wife of 27 years and two beautiful and talented children. A favorite saying of mine is, I'd rather be lucky than good. And people tell me that after a while, it's not luck, it's that I'm good, but I know the truth. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, David Perry. I encourage you, as I do every person who gives an autobiography, to consider sending a copy of that into the newsletter. So other members of our club who might not be here in person get a chance to learn a little bit about you. So Dave, send that into the newsletter if you can. Now stay with me now. We have a considerable number of announcements, which is solely due to the fact that very few of you sit still. And the first one is about the bocce. I have it on good authority. Oh, here it is. It's my report, my intelligence report. I have it on good authority that there were 16 teams of 2 people on Saturday. I heard the weather was sunny. I heard there were some remarkable costumes, photographs of which I've seen, and some are quite disturbing. Emily and Jason, I understand you two took the prize. I saw your photograph. You earned it. Was that the llama pajama thing? Did I mention disturbing? Eric Danielson. Orange stripes, where's Waldo? Thank you very much. I can't unsee that photo. And the lowest games, I understood, kept score. Thank you very much. Greg, you did a terrific job running this successful event. We appreciate that. Now, almost as much fun as bocce. Bill Bestfitch has got another strategic planning meeting coming up on Saturday. Contact him to join into that. The future of our club is in your collective hands. You all are filling in a survey online or paper copies on the table. And Bill Bestfitch and his team are using that information to steer our club forward. When's that survey due? That was a question that you need to answer out loud. When's that survey due? November 8th. Pretty close though. So Nature Park's got something coming up. What could be finer than spending some of Saturday, November 4th outside helping Sherry and Don Witt and Rube Cutler do another cleanup. And this time, I believe it's in partnership with Clean Valley Council. There's a beautiful full color handout on your tables. So pay attention. Also pay attention. You know, last year we had this guy run KPAD. I'm not going to say anything about him. But I am going to say that Jean Bollendorf has taken KPAD up to the next level this year. And she is selling, and you will be buying, special Christmas ornaments that not only have a picture of the Roanoke Star on, but on the back have the Roanoke Kiwanis Club. She'll be selling those at the stocked market. Dates are listed in front of you on your agenda. The stocked market is what the Junior League runs every year to raise money. We have a booth. She needs you to volunteer. What could be better than standing around at the Junior League stock market, selling Christmas ornaments and KPAD tickets? Please contact Jean. Don Chichester, as you just heard a few minutes ago, is running our Thanksgiving deal at the Adult Care Center. Signups are on the table, November 17th. You get as much as you give when you go volunteer there. Also on your table, Mill Mountain Theater. What's the date? November 30th is when we're going to go enjoy some of Amy's food. We're going to socialize, and then we're going to sit in premium seats at Mill Mountain Theater and see Elf.
Mike just heard information, you're looking at the sign, she did have some date in March.
So the sign-up seats have been pen and ink changed to say November 30th. So thank you for that, Lee. Speaking of time and dates, Andre once again is collecting calendars. And where do they go once she collects them? And after they're in the box, she takes them where? Absolutely, takes them to the VA. It turns out that the people over at the VA, some of whom live narrow and limited lives, some of whom have trouble keeping track of the days of the week and the weeks of the month, putting a calendar on their wall is actually a big deal. So help Andre out and help the folks at the VA out. Speaking of Andre, the directories are coming out next week. Let's give her some applause for that. So the way this started is this new club president that we have decided that you needed to have the directories come out in October this year. So offline, our own club secretary, John Montgomery, Andre Books, and your club president have been working behind the scenes. So though I know you don't care much about anything except ending meetings on time, You ought to care about the fact we put a lot of work into this directory, and so did you. You went through a process to sign up yet again for your committees. Good for you. Odds are pretty favorable that this directory is going to be accurate and up to date, thanks to you. And so for that, I thank you. Now I'm going to thank someone else. Did I miss any announcements that I need to make, by the way? If I did, send a note up here. I'll get to them at the end. All right? Okay. So, this is the first time in history, you're being exposed to one of the rarest forms on the face of the earth. In fact, nobody on the face of the earth has ever seen what I'm about to show you. It's rarer than gold and more valuable than diamonds and gems. It's the Outreach Award. It's the Outreach Award. Someone in this club has, I'm pausing for effect, taken notable initiative and follow through in reaching out into the community. Greg Lineberger, would you come up here, please? That bocce event that we talked about, more than half of the people at that bocce event were from outside of our club. That is outreach. Appreciate it. But wait, there's more. It's here somewhere.
Former agency guy, you can have 2 points.
So the first thing we're going to do is going to put the outreach ribbon on your badge.
Fantastic. Where that from?
But wait, there's more. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to put the outreach pin on your ribbon. Are you laughing at me? Take his picture. Take his picture.
I already took his picture 2 times already.
Greg, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. The third thing we're going to do is we're going to start a list in the newsletter of people who earn the Outreach Award. You too can earn the award if you take initiative and follow through. All right. So let's see. Brag bucks are up next. I have a couple of braggarts that I know about. Please come up here now. Now, the way this works, guests, is anyone in the room can spend $2 and come up here and brag on the subject of their choice, as long as it's not controversial. The $2 goes into the Kiwanis Foundation, which funds our grants, which you heard about earlier.
Thank you, Mike. Hi, strangers. We've been around for a while. Hello, John Bradshaw. John and I are usually a Zoom club. And so I had to be here today. As many of you know, Saturday is my 90th birthday. And Dave, that's pre-baby boom. That's probably Dave Perry's grandfather's generation. And I wish I'd worn my Wolverines t-shirt. Because this guy's wearing a Buckeyes t-shirt.
This is not my fault.
That's the biggest rivalry in college football. And it's coming up in a couple of weeks. Tonight it's my two universities playing each other, Michigan and Michigan State. That's always hard too, but looking forward to that. Well, now following the tradition set by my friend John Bradshaw, and I can't seem to catch up with him on this age thing, but
We're close. It's my pleasure to give a check to the Kiwanis Foundation to mark this occasion. And as John did earlier this year on his 90th birthday, my check is also in the amount of $900. And here's a personal note. Going through old family papers recently, I came upon an undated newspaper clipping from a Detroit paper, my hometown, the contents of which I think you will find of interest. It reads, H.A. Powell, owner of the H.A. Powell Photographic Studios, was installed today as president of Kiwanis Club Number 1 at a luncheon at the Hotel Statler. H.A. Powell was my uncle. This installation must have happened sometime in the 1950s. The newspaper clipping is very yellowed with age. So, being a Kiwanis Club president runs in the family. Thank you. Good, Buckeye.
Don't call me a Buckeye. I'm wearing this, I'm done with it. I'm wearing this crazy outfit because I lost a bet. Between Harry and myself at the football game last weekend. Penn State got lost to Ohio State, but they lost to a good team. One more thing, on your table is a announcement about a concert. Kevin Matheson and our own Judy Clark are going to do a great concert. I listened to it, them rehearsing, and it's this the 29th, this Sunday at Windsor Hills.
While I'm here, this is a quick shout out for UVA football, who beat North Carolina 31-27 this past weekend. With their 128th meeting for the longest rivalry in the South, and it's the first time UVA has ever beaten a top 10 team on a road trip in their history. Hopefully, on back of their win over William and Mary 2 weeks ago, this will show that UVA's turned around its season for the better, I hope.
Emily Bailey, my brag is on the big guy upstairs who answered some serious prayers for us when my mother underwent her first treatment for cancer on Monday. It started quite rough, but after about 45 minutes of panic, she was able to go through her first treatment, and she is feeling good, and she had a good day yesterday.
That's the best news, Emily. Thank you for sharing that with us. So we're now going to introduce our speaker, Shiana.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I'm excited to be able to say hi, Rupert. Rupert is here with us today. I usually say hi to Rupert on Zoom, but since he was here today, that is my pleasure. And I also wanted to mention to everyone of those that may not know, this is my last Kiwanis meeting. It has been a pleasure and honor. I will still visit. I'm still one of the Baker sisters, so I will join my sister. But there's a lot happening in Hollins and in my life, and I want to make sure that I'm able to prioritize. So thank you all for being so kind and welcoming and warming to me. But today it is my honor and my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Kalandra Quarles. She is my sorority sister. I must start with that. She is my special sorority sister. Kalandra is a Virginian. She is from Pulaski County. She is an internist at Roanoke Hospital, and she received her medical degree from Lincoln Memorial University College of Osteopathic Medicine. And I could tell you a lot about Lonnie. That's what I call her. But she is amazing. Our story, the way we met, it was just kismet. We were supposed to meet the way we met and continue to have a friendship today. She is the proud mother. She and her husband, Glenn, are the proud mother of beautiful Lily Graham, who is my birthday twin, Brooks, and Benjamin. So she is a doctor, a mother of 4, and she does all the wonderful things. So it is my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Lonnie Quarles.
It'll come up.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for the invitation to come speak with you guys today. So as Shian said, I'm a hospitalist at Roanoke Memorial Hospital. This marks my 5th year at Carilion. And I do want to start the presentation today with the caveat that I am not PR, I am not a recruiter, I'm not a historian. What I want to show you guys today can be found on Carilion's published websites. So this material is not mine. I want to share with you. I very much enjoy being part of the Carilion community. And so I was very excited to present on a subject matter that is not necessarily my specialty. I'm a physician. Usually when I speak, it's on medical things, but I'm happy to share with the wonderful things that Carilion does for this community. And they kind of align with the things that your organization also does. So we'll start with a brief history of Carilion. Yes, sir. Oh, sorry. So we'll start with a brief history of Carilion, kind of how we got here and what we're doing. And then I really wanted to present to you the results of the 2021. Am I still too quiet? Sorry. Present to you guys the results of the 2021 Community Needs Assessment. And then also go over a little bit of the major campaigns and programs that Carilion Clinic Foundation is all about, to kind of highlight the commitment and the uplifting of our community. So again, no financial disclosures. I'm not getting paid to do this. I don't make money speaking for Carilion. I'm just happy to share with friends. So Carilion has a similar mission as you guys. So to improve the health of the communities that we serve. Our vision is that we are committed to a common purpose, better patient care, better community health at lower costs. Carilion is not for profit, but that doesn't mean they're not here to make money. They do that to invest back into the community. And their value is the collaboration, commitment, compassion, courage, and curiosity. You'll notice all those are 5 C's. And that will kind of give you some idea of where the Carilion logo comes in with the little blue C's. Everywhere it ties into that. I'll tell you in just a second. So Carilion is not for profit. It's the only level 1 trauma center in Roanoke. That means there's a lot of subspecialties that need to happen before you can become a level 1 trauma center. Basically for you, it means we can treat every emergency, everything that's hospitalized, Carilion can treat. We don't rarely have to refer out to other institutions. We serve 20 counties focused in Southwest Virginia and a little bit in the southern tip of West Virginia. About 1 million residents see our team. We have 7 hospitals, with Roanoke Memorial being the largest, 75 subspecialties, over 700 physicians, and many practices throughout the region. 26 graduate medical programs. Those are your junior doctors in training. Residents and fellows are there. The total Carilion network has over 1,000 beds, with over 700 of those beds being at Roanoke Memorial. We employ 13,000 people from the region. So that was the first thought. I was like, wow, what does Carilion do for the region? Employ us. So I thought that was interesting. We are number 4 hospital in Virginia. That's Roanoke Memorial. We are just behind number 1 hospital in Virginia is Inova out of Fairfax. Number 2 is VCU. Number 3 is UVA, and we're number 4. So that's a pretty, honor for such a small region to have a hospital of that caliber for us. We're always one of the top 100 best hospitals in the country. So I'll brag for just a second, and I'll pay you $2 to do that. Yeah, I'll pay you $2 to do that. Just a map, just to highlight the region that we serve, those 20 counties. This is a better picture, and I like this because you can really see our catchment area. It's all Appalachia, the people who need it most in our state. And we're kind of everywhere. I like to see a widespread there. the list of the hospitals that we have there. This list included the Children's Hospital and the St. Albans Psychiatric Hospital that wasn't included in that number 7. We have all the subspecialties there, particularly wanted to highlight cardiovascular surgery, which can be hard to find, orthopedics and neurosurgery. That's kind of what gives us that level 1 trauma status. It's more of the same. So the history, little Roanoke didn't have much going on as far as hospital or medical care in the turn of the previous century. A booming railroad town, lots of traffic and industry coming through here. So a bunch of people got together and they said, hey, we need a hospital. And so a 30-bed hospital was created at the base of Mill Mountain, which is the home site of Roanoke Memorial. They kind of grew, almost a century goes by, when in 1987, the Roanoke Memorial merged with Community, but some of you may remember that. It's not too far in the past. And at that time is when the name changed from to Carilion. And I am a music major from the University of Virginia, class 2005, wahoo wah. And I said, well, they spell Carilion wrong. It has 2 L's in it. Carilion meaning the bells in like a church chamber, a church bell tower. But it's kind of almost poetic because Carilion means working in harmony together. And so I thought that was a nice name for Carilion. And so then they ended up merging with Virginia Tech and the medical school got established there. And then we merged with Jefferson College and Radford University for College of Nursing. And it's the number 2 size nursing school in the state. I'm a history person. I just like these kind of old pictures. So that person on the left is circa 1912. And that's that original hospital building. And then the one on the right is somewhere in the mid-60s, and that's the old community hospital before it kind of beefed up a little bit. This is future. So right now, actively, if you drive just down the road, you'll see a lot of construction. They're working on the Hart Tower there. So that's the proposed image of what 2025 will be like. And just picture just represents Carilion's investment and in our community. It takes someone to work these buildings. It takes someone to create the buildings. It's going to staff new subspecialties of cardiology, which will bring in more service to our area. So every 3 years, so I kind of alluded to this, Carilion does a needs assessment. I didn't know any of this before I was asked to be here. So I actually appreciate this because I got to learn about this great place I work for and how even more better it is. So every 3 years, Carilion and its partners do a needs assessment of the community to decide what we need versus them telling us what we need. We tell them what we need, and then they're able to hopefully help that. So the outcome of previous needs assessments, they've been doing this since about 2012. And so in Franklin County, a new free clinic was created based off of the results of the previous needs assessments. A new Velocity Care, that's Carilion's name for urgent care, was based in Rockbridge. They needed help out there. A Pathways, it's called Hub, and it was a partnership with United Way to help low-income people establish and have social services provided to them. The Home Alone program I thought was so sweet. You can tell how the community asked what they need, and then Carilion responded with this. It was a short-lived program because we only needed it for a short time. During COVID, when we were all asked to stay home, there's a vulnerable population of seniors who live alone. So the outreach program, the Home Alone, contacted them and made sure they had what they needed and kind of helped keep them connected during the pandemic. And then the Fresh Foods RX program helped with local farmers to get fresh foods to needy populations. They would have never done this without us answering and explaining what we needed. So the 2021 needs assessment is the most recent one. Like I said, they do these every 3 years. And I was surprised with the results. The top concerns in the community is mental health and behavioral health. I would have thought those seem to be lower down. I would think everybody's still talking about COVID and how to pay for things, but mental health by far was the biggest concern that our local people have. Socioeconomic factors are always high on there. Housing insecurity was part of that socioeconomic problems. Difficulty accessing primary care, it's 3 or 4 months before you can get in to see anybody. And then still issues with life pre and post COVID. So we'll have to see in the next year or two how Carilion answers these questions. So another major part of the presentation today is to talk a little bit about Carilion Clinics Foundation. They right now have their main campaign is to provide robust cancer care here. They're working on this incredible suite of innovative, technology-driven cancer building. I'm not really sure where on campus that's going to be, but that's their main focus. So any donation, that's their main thing. And then there are 3 other programs that they're always promoting. The Patient Care Fund. There's the Dr. Robert Healy Health Healing Arts Program, and then the Children's Hospital. So this is the campaign for Reaching Far, Caring Close. It's the cancer campaign. So if you go on the website, they'll take anything you want to give happily. This is the future rendition of what they hope that the new cancer center will be like. And then the 3 programs that are high on the priority of the foundation. So the Patient Care Fund. So my unit at Carilion, I have a lot of people who have long stays. And so I find that the Patient Care Fund, they target a population you wouldn't think. It's actually just anecdotally, this is not based off of anybody's numbers, just in my experience, the people who need financial assistance to pay for medications are the young adults. So the 30 to 40-year-olds who may not have access to insurance or fully employed type people. They're not elderly, they're not children. It's usually the middle-aged people who need help with the Patient Care Fund. And that's different than you may think. And then the Healing Arts Program. So the long stay patients, they're provided with nice paints and colors and art books and things that kind of keep their mind off the fact that they're still in the hospital. Some of the patients I have, they're there for weeks of time for what they need there. And then the Carillion's Children's Clinic Hospital, the new on near the Valley, the Tanglewood Mall area. Shion alluded that I do have 4 children, so I guess that's my connection to this part of the foundation is we all have our care at Carillion's Children, so a lot going on there. And so this is my last slide, and I want to say this: these are big numbers, big impacts. Everything Carilion has, they funnel back into the community. You know, it is a business, a company, but I do think that they are deeply steeped in the uplifting and benefit of our community. And they show no signs of slowing. So that's great. And hopefully I'm looking forward to see what the result of the 2021, what they're going to really do with that needs assessment, and then what the 2023 needs assessment will show us. And you can go online right now and contribute to that needs assessment. It's a survey. So if you go on their website, they'll ask you directly what you think we need in our community, and Carilion will be our partner. And that's all I really have for you today.
First, well, thank you, but then we'll ask you if you might stand for a question or two.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I don't know. Excuse me. So you'll remember asked about the cancer center has been on the list for a long time. And he's asking what the projected date, where are we as far as money's earned? I don't know that answer. I will find it and get it back to a member so we can share that. I don't know that one. But they're not slowing down. They really want that to happen. And that's why it's always part of the conversation. Yes, sir.
Yeah, to know whether or not the amount of uncompensated care, the cost, what direction is that going? Is that increasing or is that coming down?
The amount of money. Oh, sorry. Your member asked about the amount of contribution to the uninsured.
Uncompensated care.
Oh, yes. Well, I can see this data several years back, and it's about the same. It's a tick higher, definitely no less. Yeah. Okay. Is anybody here Carilion? We're everywhere. Okay. Yes. No, never. No, we always need more, always. Physician, now I can only speak to my role, and we're always recruiting and looking in things. Some of our beds are empty because we have no one to staff them. So it's not because we're full. You know, sometimes those long ER waits are because there are no nurses to take care of you once you get upstairs. So sometimes that's there. Yes, sir.
Just decided to examine, I had an appointment with a neurologist in October and found out that neurologist left the previous. So my next appointment is in May.
My answer, so your colleague is talking about his appointment for neurology is months and months and months and months away. The answer to that is the GME, so the medical education. So the neurology residents are being beefed up. You support the medical education, then you have more doctors down the line. So that may be the answer to that. We need more bodies always.
We'll end the questions. Stay here, please. So now we'll give some applause. Now, we'd like to thank you for the presentation. We understand that the speaker honorariums go to Sabrina's place. There we go. Thank you again. It turns out that we do have a number of club members that are employed at Carilion. We have a number of club members that volunteer helping with interviews at the med school. So we're connected in a couple different ways. Where's the card? Come on now, fess up. Who's got the card? Has it made it to every table? Outstanding. You know, you people just keep getting better every week. And speaking of getting better, next week, you're going to come back. You're going to hear Mark Johnson, President and CEO of YMCA, the Roanoke Valley. If there's no other business,
I don't.